Many in Gotham City were becoming wary of the Gotham World Fair's penchant for attracting conmen and criminals. No matter how much care was taken, no matter how many precautions, a decent amount of people stayed well away from the festivities. This did not, however, stop people from coming from far and wide to Gotham. People from other states and countries wanted to take part in the event of the century. One person to capitalize on this was Jervis Tetch. Tetch did not have a grand display. He was not one for show. He was a peddler selling hats and books. He had cleverly modeled himself after the fictional character of the Mad Hatter in Alice's Adventures in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. Tetch wore a top hat, a long frilled coat, and carried a cane. He would act eccentrically while selling his hats and books to passers-by. He was a relatively unassuming figure. Not many looked twice. Those who he did draw in spoke highly of his dedication, even if they found him a bit odd. Tetch soon found himself struggling, however. His sales were plummeting. He was finding himself lost in the noise of the Gotham World Fair. Normally, one in his situation would try to find a decent solution to this problem. Unbeknownst to most people, Tetch was not a normal person. Having grown up in a poorer part of Gotham, Tetch had scrounged for scraps and had grasped at what he could. Tetch had learned to read from the local church. They held Sunday school, open to poorer communities so that children could learn to read the scriptures. Tetch found stories fascinating, and he devoured any reading materials he could find. The works of Lewis Carroll were his favorite. He lived this way until young adulthood, when he made a new friend. A man had come to town showing off neat parlor tricks. He proclaimed himself to be Sir Isaac Bowen, a musician and performer from abroad. He would attract audiences and seemingly convince them to do things they normally wouldn't, or to behave ridiculously. The man had called himself a hypnotist. Tetch had found Bowen fascinating and had struck up a conversation with him. The two formed a fast friendship, and Bowen had begun teaching Tetch his art of performance and hypnotism. Before long, Bowen began to teach Tetch the other side of his business, how to be a confidence man. Tetch would observe and assist Bowen in tricking countless people out of their money and valuables through hypnotism. After many years of this, Tetch and Bowen had a falling out. Tetch eventually disagreed on the dishonesty Bowen employed. Tetch's conscience was weighing on him. Bowen called him naive and stated that the world was less forgiving than Tetch made it out to be. The two parted ways, and Tetch struck out on his own. Later, at the Gotham World Fair, Bowen's words rang out in Tetch's head now. Begrudgingly, Tetch began to employ the tricks of hypnotism he had learned. He would strike up a friendly conversation with a customer, establish eye contact, and then convince them to buy from his wares. This eventually escalated into convincing people to pay more than they normally would, and even just giving him their money altogether as a donation. It didn't always work, but it worked for him often enough. Tetch went on like this for a while, but then everything changed. One day, while operating his small booth at the fair, Tetch saw a woman. He was instantly smitten. He learned that this was Julie Madison, a socialite in Gotham. He became absolutely obsessed with her. Tetch likened her in his mind to Alice from the works of Lewis Carroll. He began following her, noting her daily schedule, and learning anything he could about her. Tetch was becoming unhinged. The tipping point was when he learned of Madison's fiancé, Bruce Wayne. Tetch became enraged. He was enraged at his perception of Madison's betrayal and at Wayne for being the object of her affection. Without having ever met either of them face to face, Tetch devised a scheme. He took a book in his stock, Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, and hollowed it out. Tetch stole various chemicals and components from the fairgrounds and devised an incendiary device within the hollow book. He planned to give it to Wayne and Madison as a gift the next time he saw them. He had tried to rig the device to explode once the book was opened, and so Tetch waited. After the arrest of Deacon Joseph Blackfire, the World Fair was in need of revitalization. People were wary to come back, and so the organizers took it upon themselves to be seen attending. Bruce Wayne and Julie Madison were among their number. Tetch finally seized his opportunity. He approached them with his deadly book and offered it. He used his hypnotist skills, striking up friendly conversation to lower guards, maintaining eye contact. These seemed to work on Madison, but Tetch was stalled by Wayne's demeanor. Bruce Wayne returned Tetch's gaze steadily, leading the conversation away from the topics Tetch brought up. Tetch was taken aback by this and merely gave them the book. He began walking away but stopped when he heard Wayne shout. There was a splash and then an explosion. Tetch looked back behind him to see a destroyed fountain and Wayne talking to two police officers and pointing at him. Tetch was taken into custody. Dubbed the Mad Hatter by local newspapers, Tetch found himself in the spotlight. He surprised himself. He utterly hated it. He was deemed insane and interred in Arkham Asylum. Here, Tetch would stew on his hatred of both Bruce Wayne and Julie Madison. He would continue concocting revenge plans and harebrained schemes, all useless if he was trapped in Arkham. Soon, he began to receive strange correspondence. The letters asked him for details of his hypnotic skills, his incendiary device within a book, and his ideologies. Tetch was more than happy to oblige, if not confusedly. He had nothing better to do. The letters were not signed with a name, merely a question mark. Tetch had no idea who this person was, but he soon began to see them as a friend. He referred to this friend as his White Rabbit. Tetch knew that if he just waited, it was only a matter of time before this White Rabbit showed him a way out. And so, he would wait.